The classroom was quiet except for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. Mino sat at his desk near the back watching the other students file in for xenobiology class. They always gave him a wide space, even now months after arriving at Galactic Academy. Station Harmony 7, the other students kept their distance. He was used to it. By now, the desk to his left sat empty. The desk to his right sat empty too. In front of him, there was a gap of 3 rows before the next student sat down. Mino pulled out his data pad and pretended not to notice. It was easier that way. Good morning, class. Professor Velnax clicked as he entered the room. The insectoid teacher's 6 limbs moved in perfect coordination as he set up the day's presentation. His compound eyes glittered in the soft light. Today we continue our study of apex predators across the galaxy. Minu looked up with interest. This was actually one of his favorite topics. Back on Earth, he had loved watching nature documentaries. His friends always thought it was boring, but he found animal behavior fascinating. The professor brought up a holographic image of a large cat-like creature with purple fur and massive fangs. This is the Nightstalker from Velen Prime. Notice the forward-facing eyes, the retractable claws, the muscular build, designed for ambush hunting. Around the room, students from various species took notes. There were bird-like aliens with colorful feathers, crystalline Lethians that looked like walking gemstones, and amphibious aquarians with smooth, wet skin. About 30 students in total, representing 15 different species. Only one human. Predators are rare in the galaxy, Professor Velnak continued. Most spacefaring species evolved from prey animals or omnivores with strong herbivore traits. Pure predator species are uncommon in civilized space. Minu noticed several students glance in his direction. He kept his eyes on his notes. Can anyone tell me why predator species are less likely to develop advanced technology? The professor asked. A Lithian student named Jiho raised one crystalline appendage. Predators typically have smaller population sizes and less social cooperation. They don't form the large communities necessary for technological advancement. Correct, Professor Velnak said. Prey species develop cooperation, communication, and community building as survival strategies. These same traits lead to civilization. A soft voice spoke up from the middle of the room. But what about species from dangerous worlds? Don't they develop differently? Mino looked up. The speaker was Hana, one of the few students who actually talked to him. She was an Avan with beautiful blue and silver feathers. Her species came from a peaceful garden world where the biggest threat was bad weather. Professor Velnax's antenna twitched. An excellent question. Yes, species from high gravity or geologically active worlds do show different traits, but truly dangerous worlds, what we classify as class 10 or above, rarely produce space-faring civilizations. The survival pressure is simply too great. Another glance toward Minu. He could feel it even without looking up. Earth is classified as a class 12 death world. A student whispered to another. The classrooms acoustics made whispers carry. I heard that's one of the highest ratings. I heard humans evolved from predators. Another whispered back, like actual apex predators. That's terrifying. Minu sighed quietly and continued taking notes. The professor was now explaining pack hunting behavior in various Species, it was actually interesting. Material. Mean you watched the holograms of different predators working together, noting the similarities to wolf behavior. On Earth, now let's discuss threat. Assessment, Professor Velnak said. When a prey species encounters a predator, what is the typical response? Freeze, flight, or hide? Several students answered together, yes. The freeze response allows the prey to avoid detection. Flight allows escape. Hiding provides safety. These are instinctual responses hardwired into the nervous system. The professor's mandibles click together. Predators, however, have different instincts. They assessed threats through a different lens. The lesson continued for another 20 minutes. When it ended, students began packing their things. Minyu took his time, waiting for the crowd to thin. It was easier than navigating through students who flinched when he got too close. Minyu weighed up. He turned to see Hana flying toward him, her wings creating a soft breeze. She landed gracefully on the desk next to his. Did you understand the section about pack dynamics? She asked. I got a little confused when he talked about hierarchy structures. Minyu smiled. Hana was kind. She'd been the first student to approach him without fear, and they had become friends over the past few weeks. Yeah, I can help explain it. Basically, pack predators establish a social order to reduce conflict and improve hunting efficiency. Oh, that makes sense. Hana tilted her head, a gesture that meant curiosity in our species. Is it true that wolves on Earth hunt in packs like that? Yeah, they do. We actually learned about wolf behavior in school back home. It's pretty similar to what the professor described. Hana's feathers ruffled slightly. It must be strange learning about predators when your species, she trailed off clearly. Embarrassed, Minyu laughed softly. When my species are predators, it's okay. You can say it, and honestly, it's not that weird. Humans study animal behavior all the time. We're fascinated by it, but doesn't it feel different studying something that's so close to what you are? Maybe Minyu thought about it, but humans don't really hunt like that anymore. We developed agriculture thousands of years ago. We're more like omnivores now in practice, even if our biology says predator. Another avid student, Suji, approached cautiously. She stayed several feet away, her wings half spread in what Minyu recognized as a defensive posture. Hana, are you coming to the dining hall? Yes. One moment. Hana looked at Minyu. Want to join us? Suji's feathers flattened against her body. It was a fear response. It's okay, Minyu said quickly. I've got some reading to catch up on. You two go ahead. Hana looked torn, but Suji was already backing toward the door. Okay, but we're studying together later, right? You promised to help me with the chemical composition module. Definitely. I'll meet you in the library at 6th hour. After they left, Minyu gathered his things slowly. The classroom was empty now except for Professor Velnax, who was organizing his materials at the front. Mr. Minyu, the professor called out. A moment, please. Minyu walked to the front desk. Up close, Professor Velnax was even more imposing. His species stood nearly 7 feet tall, and his exoskeleton gleamed with an iridescent sheen. I wanted to ask how you're adjusting to the academy, the professor said. His voice was gentler than during lectures. I know being the only human must be challenging. I'm doing fine, Professor. Everyone's been very welcoming. Professor Velnax's antenna drooped slightly. You don't have to be diplomatic, Mr. Minu. I see how the other students react to you. I was hoping time would ease their instincts. But he trailed off. It's not their fault, Minu said. I understand the biology behind it. Prey instincts are hard to override. That's very mature of you. The professor paused. For what it's worth, I think your presence here is valuable. The galaxy needs to understand Earth better. Your species will play an important role in galactic society. Thank you, Professor. As Minu left the classroom, he thought about those words. An important role. He wondered what that would look like. Right now he just felt like a living, breathing reminder of everything the galaxy feared, a predator walking among prey, trying his best not to scare anyone. Tomorrow would be different, though. Tomorrow they would see something that would change everything. The next morning, Minu arrived at xenobiology class to find the room already buzzing with nervous energy. Students clustered in small groups, their voices hushed but excited. Several security guards stood by the door checking equipment. Something was different. Did you hear? Hana landed next to Minu as he found his usual isolated desk. Professor Velnax is bringing in a real predator today. Live one, really? Mino felt a spark of interest. What species? They're calling it a razor claw. It's from the Krell home world. Hana's feathers were puffed up, making her look twice her normal size. I've never seen a real apex predator before, only in hollows. Across the room, Jiho was holding court with a group of Lithian students. His crystalline body reflected the light as he gestured dramatically. There's nothing to fear, he said loudly. We Lithians don't experience fear the way emotional species do. We observe with pure logic. Easy to say now, muttered another student, a small aquarium named Yuna. Her skin had turned pale green. Sign of stress in her species. Professor Velnex entered, followed by more security personnel. They carried heavy equipment, portable barriers, stun weapons, and a large reinforced container on an anti-gravity platform. Take your seats, everyone, the professor announced. Today's lesson is a rare opportunity. The Galactic Zoo has allowed us to observe one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators under controlled conditions. The students settled into their desks quickly. Minu noticed that even Jiho's confident posture had become a bit more rigid. The Razorclaw is an apex predator from Krellel 3, a Class 9 world, Professor Velnax continued. They are reptilian hunters, approximately 6 ft in length, with armored scales, venomous claws, and advanced pack hunting intelligence. In the wild, they can take down prey 3 times their size. A hologram appeared, showing a creature that looked like a cross between a large lizard and a raptor dinosaur. Its scales were dark green and black, and its claws curved like sides. The eyes were yellow and cold. Several students gasped. Yuna made a small squeaking sound. The specimen will remain behind a reinforced transparent barrier at all times, the professor assured them. We have full security protocols in place. You are in no danger. The security team began setting up the barrier system, creating a clear-walled enclosure in the center of the classroom. It was about 12 ft square, with walls that shimmered with energy fields. Mo could see the power conduits running along the base. Now observe carefully, Professor Velnex said. Notice the forward-facing eyes, positioned for depth perception. Powerful rear legs built for explosive speed, the intelligence in the gaze. The container was moved into the enclosure. Through the transparent barrier, Minyu watched as the security team remotely opened the container's door. For a moment nothing happened, then the razor claw emerged. It was bigger than the hologram had suggested. Its movements were fluid and controlled, each step deliberate. The creature's head swiveled, yellow eyes scanning the room. When its gaze passed over the students, several of them ducked behind their desks. Minyu didn't duck, he watched with focused attention, noting the creature's behavior, the way it tested the barrier with one claw, the way its nostrils flared, scenting the air, the slight twitch of its tail that suggested coiled tension. It was beautiful in a way, a perfect predator shaped by millions of years of evolution. See how it assesses its environment, Professor Velnak narrated. Predators are constantly evaluating threats and opportunities. This behavior is instinctual. Jiho raised his hand. Professor, what's its threat level compared to other predators? The razor claw is classified as extremely dangerous. In their native environment, they're responsible for more fatalities than any other predator species on Krello 3, but it's secured. Right? Asked Suji nervously. Completely. The barrier can withstand forces far beyond what this creature can generate. The professor gestured to the security guards, and we have trained personnel with sedation equipment as an additional precaution. The lesson continued. Professor Velnak explained hunting strategies, social behavior, and razor claw packs in their role in the Krello ecosystem. The creature paced inside its enclosure, occasionally scraping its claws against the barrier. Minyu took detailed notes. The razor claw reminded him of videos he'd seen of Komodo dragons back on Earth. Similar body plan, similar hunting style. He wondered if convergent evolution had shaped them along similar paths. Minyu Hana whispered from the desk she'd claimed nearby. Are you okay? Yeah, why? You're just watching it, not scared at all. Minyu shrugged. It's interesting. We had predators on Earth too. Crocodiles, big cats, bears. My grandfather used to tell stories about running into a black bear while hiking. Hana's eyes widened. Grandfather encountered an apex predator and lived. Well, yeah, he made noise and backed away slowly. The bear left him alone. Several students nearby had overheard. They were staring at Minyu, now with expressions ranging from disbelief to horror. You're saying predators like that just exist in the wild on Earth? Asked a Lithian student. Where people go for recreation, sure. You just have to be careful and know what to do. The classroom was quiet for a moment. Even Professor Velnak seemed at a loss for words. Then everything went wrong. A sharp crackling sound filled the air. The barrier flickered, its energy field pulsing erratically. Warning lights flashed on the control panel. What's happening, Professor? Velnax rushed toward the security console. Power fluctuation in the containment grid. One of the guards reported, his voice tight with tension. It's not stabilizing. The razor claw had stopped pacing. Its body was low to the ground, muscles coiled. It could sense the weakness. Everyone remained calm. The professor announced, but his voice betrayed his own fear. Security will have this resolved in moments. The barrier flickered again, more violently. This time then it failed. The transparent walls vanished with a sound like breaking glass. The energy field collapsed for one frozen second. Nothing moved. The razor claw stood in the open classroom, no longer contained. Then chaos erupted. The creature moved. With terrifying speed, it leaped at the nearest security guard, claws extended. The guard's armor absorbed the first strike, but the razor claw was already moving, using its tail to knock another guard off balance. Students screamed. Chairs toppled as everyone tried to scramble away. The instinct to flee was overwhelming, unstoppable. Professor Velnax hit the emergency lockdown. But metal shutters began closing over the doors, but they were slow, too slow. Everyone to the back corner, the professor shouted, but his own species' prey instincts had taken over. His body was rigid, frozen in place by ancient evolutionary programming. The razor claw struck down one guard with a vicious slash. Blood splattered across the floor. The creature hissed a sound of triumph. Its yellow eyes swept across the room, looking for its next target, and found the huddled mass of students pressed against the far wall. Jiho's logical superiority had vanished. He was shaking, his crystalline form actually rattling with fear. Yuna had curled into a ball, her skin now pure white. Suji had her wings wrapped around her body, trying to make herself invisible. The Razorclaw's lips pulled back, showing rows of sharp teeth. It began moving toward the students with slow, deliberate steps. It knew they were trapped. There was no hurry. Hana grabbed Minyu's arm. "We have to hide," she whispered frantically. "Under the desks, maybe it won't see us." But Minyu wasn't moving toward the corner with the others. He was walking forward toward the creature. Time seemed to slow down as Minyu moved forward. Behind him, he could hear Hana calling his name, her voice high with panic, but he didn't stop. His mind had shifted into a different mode, one that was calm and clear. He had seen this behavior before. The Razorclaw was displaying classic apex predator hunting patterns. It was taking its time because it sensed the fear. The students huddled together, looked like prey, smelled like prey, and acted like prey. Minyu needed to chain that calculation. His eyes scanned the destroyed classroom. Quickly, a broken equipment pole lay on the floor near the damaged barrier. Chemical fire extinguisher hung on the wall to his right. The wounded security guard's weapons were scattered, but too far to reach safely. He grabbed the metal pole first. It was about 4 ft long, made of reinforced alloy. Not ideal, but it would work. Then he pulled down the fire extinguisher, testing its weight. Full. Good. The Razorclaw noticed him now, its head swiveled, yellow eyes fixing on this new element. Mino could see the intelligence there. The predator trying to understand the strange behavior. "Minyu, no!" Hana cried out. "Get back here!" But Minyu kept walking until he was positioned directly between the creature and the students. The distance was maybe 15 ft, close enough to be a threat, close enough to draw its attention. Every predator instinct Minyu had inherited from thousands of generations of human hunters was awake now. His heartbeat steadied, his breathing slowed, his muscles loosened, ready to move in any direction. The Razorclaw hissed, showing its teeth. It was a threat display meant to scare him away. Minyu didn't run. Instead, he made himself bigger. He raised the pole above his head and shouted, a loud, aggressive sound that echoed through the classroom. The Razorclaw's head pulled back slightly. This wasn't normal prey behavior. Behind Minyu, the students watched in frozen Horror, Professor Velnix's compound eyes were wide, even Jiho had stopped, shaking too shocked to move. On the security guard's abandoned console, biometric displays showed Minyu's vital signs. His heart rate had actually decreased, while everyone else in the room was in full panic mode. Minyu's body had entered what old Earth soldiers called combat calm, the prey freeze. Response had been overridden by something older, something hardwired into human DNA. The razor claw began to circle, moving to Minyu's left. It was testing him, looking for weakness. Minyu pivoted smoothly, keeping the creature in front of him. He watched its eyes, its weight distribution, the tension, its muscles. Every movement gave him information. The door mechanism is jammed. One of the conscious security guards called out weakly, "Backup will take minutes to cut through." Minutes they didn't have. The razor claw lunged. Suddenly, a testing strike. Mino was already moving. He sidestepped and brought the fire extinguisher up, releasing a blast of white chemical foam directly into the creature's face. The razor claw shrieked and recoiled, its eyes covered in burning chemicals. It shook its head violently, trying to clear its vision. Minyu didn't wait. While it was disoriented, he struck with the metal pole, aiming for the joint, its front leg. The impact was solid and the razor claw stumbled, but it recovered fast, faster than Minyu expected. The creature spun its tail, whipping around. Mino barely ducked under it. He felt the air pressure as the tail passed inches above his head. "Move to the far corner," Mino shouted to the students without taking his eyes off the razor claw. Behind the overturned desks, create barriers. Students scrambled to obey, dragging furniture to create a makeshift fort. Hana organized them, her fear overridden by the need to help. The razor claw charged again, claws extended. Minyu used the nearest desk as a shield. Pushing it forward, the claws punched through the desk surface but got tangled. Mino struck again with the pole, this time hitting the creature's shoulder. The razor claw hissed in pain and anger. It was learning now, understanding that this small opponent was dangerous. They circled each other. The creature was faster and stronger, but Minyu had something else. His ancestors had hunted mammoth across ice fields. They had tracked prey for days without stopping. They had learned to think, to plan, to use tools and terrain. The razor claw lunged low, going for Minyu's legs. He jumped backward, but not far enough. Claws ran across his left arm, cutting through his uniform and leaving 3 burning lines across his skin. Minyu grunted but didn't fall. The pain was sharp but manageable. He'd had worse injuries playing football. He's hurt. Suji cried from behind the barrier of desks. "Stay down," Mino commanded. He couldn't worry about them now. Full focus had to stay on the threat. The razor claw smelled blood. Its attacks became more aggressive, more confident. It was winning and it knew it, but Minyu had been buying time, learning the creature's patterns. He noticed it always lunged from the left side. It favored its right leg, probably an old injury. After each attack there was a split-second pause before it could change direction. Minyu used the environment. He maneuvered around broken equipment, over fallen chairs, creating obstacles. The creature was built for open spaces, for running down prey on flat ground. The cluttered classroom slowed it down. Another charge. This time Minyu was ready. He dropped the fire extinguisher and used both hands on The pole, when the razor claw came in. He didn't dodge left or right, he moved forward and down, sliding under the creature's body as he passed. Underneath, he drove the pole upward, into its soft underbelly, not hard enough to seriously wound, but enough to hurt, enough to teach respect. The razor claw screamed and rolled away. When it came back up, something had changed in its eyes. It was no longer looking at Minyu as prey, it was looking at him as a rival predator. They faced each other across the ruined classroom, both breathing hard, both bleeding. The razor claw scales were scratched and dented. Minyu's arm dripped blood onto the floor. In that moment there was a strange understanding between them, two predators recognizing each other. The creature hissed again, but this time it was different, not a threat, a warning. It backed up a step, putting distance between them. Minyu held his ground, pole ready. The razorclaw's yellow eyes never left him, but it stopped advancing. It began to pace sideways, looking for another angle of attack. Then the emergency doors exploded. Inward, a full security team rushed in, armed with heavy sedation weapons. Razorclaw turned toward this new threat, momentarily distracted. Now the team leader shouted. Multiple sedation darts hit the creature from different angles. It roared and tried to charge, but the drugs were fast-acting. Within seconds, its movements became sluggish. It swayed, fought to stay upright, then finally collapsed. The classroom erupted in sounds, crying, gasping, nervous laughter. The tension broke like a snapped wire. Minyu lowered the pole slowly. His hands were shaking now, adrenaline finally catching up with him. The cut on his arm burned, and he could feel warmth spreading through his uniform from other scratches he hadn't noticed. Hana was the first to reach him. She landed next to him, her feathers trembling. "You're bleeding." "I'm okay," Minyu said, though his voice sounded strange to his own ears, distant. Around them, medical teams were rushing in. The security forces were securing the sedated razor claw. Professor Velnex was giving a statement to the emergency coordinator, his voice still shaky, but all of it seemed far away. Minyu looked down at his hands. They were still shaking. The metal pole clattered to the floor as his grip failed. "Get him." "Medical attention now," someone shouted. The last thing Minyu saw before the medical team surrounded him was the entire class staring at him with expressions he couldn't quite read. Not fear, not exactly, something else. Something that would change everything. The medical bay was too bright. Minyu squinted against the harsh white lights as Dine, the station's medical officer, worked on his arm. The doctor's tentacles moved with practiced precision, applying dermal regenerator to the claw marks. "You're very lucky," Down said softly. His species communicated through both voice and color changes in their skin. Right now, he was showing patterns of concern mixed with curiosity. A few centimeters deeper, and these would have required surgery. "Sorry for the trouble," Minyu said. "Sorry." One of Diane's larger eyes focused on him. "Young being, you saved 32 lives. Today there's no trouble in that." He paused in his work. "Though I must ask, your biometric readings during the incident were fascinating. Your heart rate decreased while confronting the predator. That shouldn't be possible for a prey response. Humans don't really have a prey response," Minyu explained. "Not like other species. When we're in danger, some of us go calm, focused, It's an old hunting adaptation, Doyen's. Skin rippled with colors mean you had. Learned meant deep thought, remarkable. I've been reading about Earth biology since you arrived, but seeing it in practice is quite different, he finished. Bandaging the arm there, you'll have some soreness for a day or two, but the scarring will be minimal, thank you. Doctor, before you go, there are about 50 beings waiting outside who wish to see you. Shall I send them away? Menus. Stomach tightened. They're here. They've been here for 2 hours. I had to threaten security to keep them in the waiting area. Down in LT Unk and GT, Skin showed what might have been amusement. Your friend Hana has been particularly insistent. After Down left, Minu sat alone for a moment. His hands had finally stopped shaking. The adrenaline crash had hit him hard in the ambulance transport, leaving him exhausted and sore. Now he just felt tired. The door opened. Hana flew in before anyone could stop her, landing directly on Minu's bed. You absolute fool, she said, her feathers puffed up. What were you thinking? You could have died. I was thinking everyone else would definitely die if someone didn't do something, Minu replied. Hana stared at him for a long moment, then unexpectedly she wrapped her wings around him in what he recognized as an avid embrace. Thank you, she whispered. You saved my life. More students filtered in after her. Suji entered hesitantly, staying the door. Yuna was there too, her skin now a healthier blue color. Even Jiho came in, his crystalline body somehow looking humbled. The footage has spread throughout the entire academy, Jiho said quietly. Everyone has seen what you did. Footage, Minu asked. The classroom cameras, Suji explained. They captured everything. The security team analyzed it. They said your reaction time was. She paused, searching for words. Beyond what our species can achieve, and your tactics were studied by the military science department. A Lethian student Minu didn't know well stepped forward. We owe you an apology, all of us. We've been treating you like a threat since you arrived, but today you proved you're a protector. I was just doing what anyone would do, Minu protested. No, Jiho said firmly, that's the point. Anyone from our species would have frozen. We did freeze. Our evolutionary programming locked us in place, but you. He gestured helplessly. You fought an apex predator with a metal stick and a fire extinguisher. You didn't just survive, you won. Hana's wing grip tightened slightly when you walked toward that creature instead of running away. I thought you had gone insane, but you knew what you were doing, didn't you? Sort of, Minu admitted. I mean, I was terrified, but I've seen enough nature documentaries to know how predators think, and my dad made me take survival training courses. He said if I was going to travel off-world, I needed to know how to handle dangerous situations. Your father trained you to fight predators? Yuna asked in amazement. He trained me to survive. It's a human thing. We prepare for bad situations, hoping we'll never need it. Over the next hour, more students came by. Some just wanted to see him. Others brought gifts, food from the dining hall, notes of thanks, even a small crystal from a Lithian student as a symbol of respect. Professor Velnax arrived later, accompanied by the academy's head administrator, a tall, elegant being from a species Minu had never seen before. Mr. Minu, the administrator said, I am Director Kith. I've come to personally thank you for your extraordinary courage today. I just did what I had to do, sir. humble as well as brave. Caleb's expression was unreadable. The Academy Board is currently reviewing the incident. There will be inquiries, investigation, and significant changes to our safety protocols. Minu's stomach dropped. Am I in trouble? Trouble? Professor Velnex's antenna waved, and what Minu had learned was amusement. My boy, you're a hero. The entire station knows what you did. However, Director KTH continued, your actions have raised important questions about humans, about Deathworlders, about what it means to have a predator species in our academy. He paused. Some on the board are concerned. The room went quiet. Concerned about what? Hana demanded. That mean you saved our lives. Concerned about the implications. Cleth said carefully. There is discussion about whether humans are too dangerous for standard integration into galactic society. Today proved that one human can overpower creatures that would terrify any of our species. Minu felt cold. Are you saying I might be expelled? I'm saying the board is divided. Some see you as a threat, others see you as proof that humans belong among us. Keleth looked directly at Minu. You will need to present your case in 3 days. Explain what humans are. Help us understand. After Caliph left, the room remained heavy with silence. Hana's feathers had flattened against her body. They can't kick you out, she said fiercely. It's not fair. It's their station. Minu said quietly. Their rules, then we fight it, Jiho declared. All of us. We'll testify. We'll make them understand. Suji nodded. You saved us. We won't forget that. More students voiced agreement. The small medical room was suddenly filled with determination. Minu looked around at the faces or face equivalents of beings from a dozen different species, students who just this morning had been afraid to sit near him. Now they were ready to fight for him to stay. Thank you, he said, meaning it deeply. All of you. Hana settled next to him. So what will you tell them? The board. Minu thought about it, about Earth, about humanity, about growing up on a world that tried to kill you every day and learning to love it anyway. The truth, he said finally. I'll tell them the truth about what humans are, about where we come from. Maybe then they'll understand. Will that be enough? Yuna asked nervously. I don't know. Minu admitted, but it's all I have. That night, alone in his quarters, Minu stared at his data pad. He had 3 days to prepare a presentation that would determine his future at the Academy. 3 days to explain 10,000 years of human history, evolution, and culture. 3 days to help the galaxy understand why humans were worth trusting even though they were predators. No pressure. He pulled up files about Earth, images of mountains and oceans, cities and wilderness. He thought about how to translate human experience into something aliens could comprehend. His comm device chimed. Messages were flooding in from students he'd never spoken to, from teachers, even from some off-station contacts. Most were supportive. Some were not. One message stood out. It was from Professor Velnex. You asked to help answer this question. What kind of world creates people like you? Show them, help them see Earth through your eyes. The truth is your best weapon. Minu smiled tiredly. The truth about Earth, about humans, about what it meant to be a predator with a conscience. He began to write. The Academy's main auditorium was packed. Mino stood backstage listening to the murmur of hundreds of voices beyond the Curtain, students, faculty, and even some off-station observers had come to hear what the human would say. Hana stood beside him, trying to look calm. "You'll do great," she said. "Just speak from the heart. What if my heart says the wrong thing? Then we'll deal with it together." She touched his shoulder gently with one wing. "You're not alone in this." Minyu took a deep breath. 3 days of preparation had led to this moment. He had practiced his speech dozen times, revised it 20 more. Now he just had to deliver it. Director KTH's voice echoed through the auditorium. "We gather today to hear from Minyu, the human student who has become the center of much discussion. The board will make no decisions until after this presentation. Please give him your attention and respect. That's your cue." Hana whispered. Minyu walked onto the stage. The lights were bright, making it hard to see the audience clearly. He could feel hundreds of eyes on him. Compound eyes, stalked eyes, crystalline sensors, thermal pits, all watching the predator who had walked into their world. He reached the podium and activated the holographic display behind him. "Thank you for coming," he began. His voice sounded steadier than he felt. "I'm going to tell you about Earth, about where I come from, about what made humans the way we are." The first hologram appeared, a blue and green marble against black space. "This is Earth. By galactic standards, it's classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. That's one of the highest danger ratings given to any planet that produced intelligent life." He paused. "To understand humans, you need to understand this place." The hologram zoomed in, showing Earth's surface. Mountains, oceans, deserts, jungles. Earth has gravity that's 1.3 times the galactic standard. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which is toxic to many species. Here we have extreme weather, hurricanes with 300 km/h winds, earthquakes that split the ground open, volcanoes that cover entire continents in ash. He showed images of natural disasters, tsunamis, tornadoes, wildfires. The audience was silent, but the really dangerous part, Minyu continued, is the life that evolved there. Earth has more predator species per square km than almost any other known world. On every continent, every ocean, there are creatures that hunt. Images flashed across the screen. Lions, sharks, bears, crocodiles, wolves, eagles, even seemingly innocent creatures like dolphins and house cats, revealed as efficient hunters. Humans evolved in this environment, Minyu said. "We weren't the strongest, we weren't the fastest. We didn't have claws or fangs or armor, but we had something else." He showed images of early humans. Tools, fire, communities. We had intelligence, we had cooperation, and we had persistence. A new hologram appeared, showing an ancient hunt. "My ancestors were persistent hunters. That means we would pick a prey animal and just follow it for hours, for days if necessary. The prey would run, hide, rest. We would keep walking. Eventually the prey would collapse from exhaustion. Then we would catch it." Jay's voice called out from the audience. "That sounds cruel, maybe." Minyu acknowledged, "But it kept us alive. Earth doesn't forgive weakness. Everything there is trying to survive. And survival isn't pretty or comfortable. It's hard, it's scary, and it never stops." He changed the display to show modern humans in various situations. "We adapted, we learned, we developed technology to protect ourselves from the world that was trying to kill us, but the instincts remained. When I faced that razor claw, I wasn't being brave. I was using instincts, programmed by millions of years of evolution. But here's what I want you to understand, Minyu said, his voice growing stronger. Humans aren't just predators, we're more complex than that. New images appeared, humans with pets, wildlife rehabilitation centers, conservation efforts. We domesticated wolves, apex predators, and turned them into dogs. We made them our companions. We keep other predators as pets. We rescue injured animals and nurse them back to health. We dedicate entire careers to protecting endangered species, even ones that could kill us. Yuna's small voice came from the crowd. Why would you protect something dangerous? Mino smiled. Because we understand them, because we recognize their right to exist, because being a predator doesn't mean lacking compassion. He showed images of humans in space, astronauts, scientists, explorers. When humans finally left Earth and met the galactic community, we brought both sides of our nature with us. Yes, we're capable of violence. We evolved that way, but we're also capable of incredible kindness. We build communities. We form friendships across species lines. We sacrifice ourselves for others, even for people we've just met. The display changed to show footage from the classroom incident. Mina watched himself on the screen, facing down the razor claw. I didn't fight that creature because I'm violent. I fought it because all of you are my classmates. Some of you are my friends, and protecting your friends, that's as much a part of human nature as hunting ever was. He turned off the display and faced the audience directly. I know some of you are scared of me. I understand why. On a deep biological level, your instincts tell you I'm dangerous, and those instincts aren't wrong. I am dangerous. Every human is. We come from a world that made us strong because anything weak died. Professor Velnax was in the front row, his antenna perfectly still. But strength isn't the same as cruelty. Power isn't the same as evil. Humans learned something on Earth that I hope will matter to you. We learned that the strongest person in the room has a responsibility to protect those who can't protect themselves. Minyu looked around the auditorium, meeting as many eyes as he could. I'm asking you to see past the predator, to see the person, to judge me not by what my ancestors were, but by what I choose to do. And I choose to be your friend, your classmate, and, if necessary, your protector. The silence that followed felt heavy. Then Hana stood up. I vote he stays, she called out clearly. Suji stood next. He saved my life. I vote he stays. Ji rose, his crystalline form catching the light. I was wrong about humans. I vote he stays. One by one, students stood. Yuna Doyan. Other faces Minyu recognized, and some he didn't. Within minutes, nearly the entire auditorium was on their feet. Director KTH stood as well. It appears, he said with what might have been a smile, that the students have made their opinion clear. The board will take this into consideration. He looked directly at Minyu. Thank you for your honesty, for helping us understand. The formal meeting ended, but the auditorium didn't empty. Students crowded around Minyu, asking questions about Earth. What was it like growing up there? What other animals existed? How did humans learn to survive? Hana stayed close, helping him answer. At one point she whispered, "You did it." "We did it," Minyu corrected. "I couldn't have stayed without all of you." Later that evening, Minyu received Official word, the board had voted he could remain at the academy with one condition. He would give regular presentations about Earth and human culture, helping bridge the understanding gap between humans and the galactic community. He accepted immediately. That night in the academy's dining hall, something new happened. When Minyu sat down with his meal, he wasn't alone. Hana sat across from him as always, but Suji joined them too, then Yuna, then Jiho, who awkwardly maneuvered his crystalline bulk onto a bench. More students came, different species, different backgrounds, all sharing a table with a human. Is this going to be a regular thing? Mino asked, looking around at the crowded table. Absolutely, Hana said firmly. You're part of this community now, really part of it. Jiho leaned forward. I have questions about Earth animals. You mentioned creatures called cats. They're predators that humans keep in their homes. Oh boy, Minyu laughed. This is going to take a while. As the conversation flowed around him, Minyu felt something he hadn't felt since arriving at the academy. He felt like he belonged, not despite being human, but because of it. The galaxy was starting to understand that humans were complicated, dangerous but kind, strong but compassionate predators who chose to protect rather than harm. It was a beginning. Outside the station's windows, Earth hung in the distance, blue dot among the stars. Mino looked at it and smiled. His world had made him a survivor, but his choices made him a friend, and that he realized was what really mattered.